A first dynasty mummy has been found here almost 2 years ago now, and research is completing. And so I want to retouch up on this. This is Sakkara, and that is the step pyramid in the distance. And from just over the shoulder of the picture here is where they have found this. It's a mummy done in the pre-Gebelien style before the full mummification process has been developed. And at this time, they would just be naturally dehydrated in the desert. And oddly, on this one, it shows that his bottom half of his body was mummified, but the top half was not. Um, let's look into this. Here's the site. And so, in doing a maintenance through here, they found a set of shafts like they find it go way down 16 foot. And there are a lot of these bricks, the fired bricks, like the Sumerian fired bricks, that are over the top of this. And this is wood, and it's got to be, yeah, dust kicking up on these guys. Hopefully no mold. This has got to be cedar for it to have lasted like this. So this would have been all the way from up in Lebanon. But and look how the lid there is arched. You can tell real well here, but it's been gouged in through around through here, and then it's arched. This is a whole arched top that's on there, inset into this wood. Let's look at this a little bit more right there. You can see how each one has been inset, making an arched top. This was their method of the time, and it's kind of set in a joint pattern, almost like your cabinet work into a thick block of cedar, and it's extremely well squared off. Although a lot of these boards look somewhat raw and more like a old elder boat bottom. But amazing that it's even holding together for them to pick it up like this. But let's continue here. Let's see what this mummy looks like. See what you can tell from the pictures here. Hopefully they'll get around and look at the face. Looking at cranial. Oh, here we go. Looking at cranial things, you'll be able to see facial structure and so on. Wow. Kind of telling here, but it looks like there's some curly black long thin hair right here. I could be mistaken. It could be something else, but that does look like ringlets and curls. Looks like the skin is all peeled off from this. Really not much left. Well, there's some back here. And of course, it's being non-coated with the tars and resins that they put over the people and basically shellac them. In the older or the newer mummies, this doesn't have that on there, which is amazing. One piece of skin there. Let's see if we can't get a look here at the facial structure and just look at him. Now, he's on his side in a fetal position, which is like the Canaanite burials and a lot of the Sumerian ones until later time. Oh, okay, so here we can kind of get a good close look at it when he gets in. And yeah, so morphology, craniology, and things like that will show you. He has a thin nasal slits, and he's got this huge bump in his nose at the top crest, which is almost like a Romanesque kind of thing, where you've got a lump in your nose. This may just be a lot of trash and debris on here, and it may actually come through at about this angle. Good, decent teeth still left on this guy here, and curling jaw set, and underset non-prognostic jaw is the Caucasian here. So hopefully we can get a straight head-on shot or more. But
we have evidence for the first time of the oldest man ever mummified in Egypt. And what's important, that the mummification is not done in the whole body, it's done only in the legs. And the X-ray showed that he was a man. But this is very important to show when the Egyptian began to think about mummification for the first time. And this is never discovered in Egypt before. We found this in tombs are in Sakkara that dated to Dynasty 1 in an intact tomb that never opened before, and it's a coffin that made of cedar wood that the Egyptian brought from Lebanon. And this is another evidence that the Egyptian left to Lebanon to bring cedar wood since 5,000 years ago.
Wow. So now that they've excavated this box, now they're trying to re-put it back together and see if they can't, any pieces that have fallen out and stuff, and replace them back in with the pieces that they have, and just see if they can't save this thing and keep it intact pretty well. But you look at the shape of this box, and amazingly, that looks like a packing crate from today. I mean, I don't want to make a joke here, but Indiana Jones, when they put him in that little crate and they take him off to the warehouse of the Smithsonian that no one ever sees again, looks just like one of those boxes. In fact, there's bigger slats running down the sides. It's squared off. It's got an internal box. It's all square. Difference is it's got a crested top here, which is inset into these boards. Quite a technique going on here, guys. Very squared off. For something that you would think is over 5,000 years old, this seems to be quite a nice made box, doesn't it? Really does. Let's see what they have in here. Now, again, they're trying to preserve this and get the junk that's out of the other parts of it. And you can see the structure of it here. And here's a plank that was buried with him, which has a raised area. Let's take a look at this, or what we do have of it. Now, you can see somebody blotting here, and here's the reveal. They've taken the first layer of dust off. Now a slight blotting where the mixture's on there, and you can tell there's a head, there's a face. And what we're looking at here is a scene that looks like someone like a scribe that is sitting at a chair. Caucasoid appearance. It seems to be even painted, polished, and or painted in this area. There's no data yet on this, but it's about to come out, and you can see worn away hieroglyphs that are all over here. So it almost looks like hieroglyphics, and cuneiform writing, like the Sumerian, the cuneiform writing. And up here looks like a proto-Egyptian type of hieroglyphic writing that they have, but it's a little odd. Now it's all worn away because there were small ridges and things to it, but yeah, sure enough, this is Lebanese cedar, so it can show you they were going all the way up there and going through this trouble even in the beginnings of it, and burying them in that Canaanite way on their sides. But they're going to shelf this and continue to look at it. But look at this well-cut plank, 4 inches thick, and so extremely neat. Here they are working in the area, but the walls that have been put up around each one, and so this is another necropolis. And there's little clusters like this, and what they're finding in these clusters is that there seems to be 4 to 6 people and then somebody that's important. And this harkens to the age whenever they used to take and kill the servants to go with the king into the afterlife. And so everybody was ritualistically killed to go into that. But so people are familiar with the pre-Gebelien mummies. Let's take a look at that for just a second. Now the Gebelien mummies that we find, of course, are also not mummified, so they're not covered with that darkening resin stuff that's on them like black lacquer. And so you can tell this guy here, even though it has some staining on him from being in the desert for so long, has that Caucasoid skin, and it's not even really darkened or extremely tan. So this may be some type of nobility who is able to keep himself out of the sun and not have to work as hard as others. There's some of that famous handled pottery and everything that people later mistook for an African design and African art. And here, Canaanite and Sumerian amphora that are extremely well made, that are in that red, dark-topped, fired motif that you see in so many things. And if you look closely, looking closely at him here, you can see that he still had this curly hair that he has across his crest. Somewhat looks like a balding guy, but this could be just all that's left of the hair. I'm not sure how much they found down in the pit. If when they first found him, they really did archaeology as well as they do today. One of his fingers is missing here, which who knows what that's from. But this blonde, curlish hair here, a lot of times they put henna in their hairs to give them a youthful look whenever they're older. This appears that this man died actually before he got to the point of graying out, and so kept his original hair. Now, in a lot of these depictions, and of course the new modern mummies, you always see them laid out like this and arms crossed, and or to their side. Commoners had theirs to their side. Kings had their arms crossed like this, and nobility. And oddly enough, whenever they've looked at this Gebelien mummy even closer, they have found that he has tattoos on him. And this is a bull and a sheep that they have on him. He also has something that looks like a shepherd's hook, like here. Or he has something that looks like a shepherd's hook that's right here on his shoulder. Here. Some type of bent or angle. And then there are 4 S's or snake shapes that are on him, which does hearken to something odd that's around that. And there are 4 of them, and that shows up in a few motifs a little bit later. And you can tell that this Gebelien here has a lot more of that curly hair than the other one did. There are 4 original and then 4 later. This is the woman, Gebelien woman, S-shaped tattoos, linear tattoo, right? Kind of unique and interesting. Anyhow, guys, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll keep looking into this. And again, the reason I'm brushing back up on this is they're about to come up with the full data on it. But interesting, they seem to have these guys still at the point where they're sacrificing the servants with them around them, and then that dies off. And that's a heritage that was also in Sumerians, where they would apparently drink a potion and then all go to their death, as told in the Gilgamesh tale and a few others. So, quite interesting here, and we will stay on top of it. And again, First Dynasty guy here is pretty interesting. There was a picture here where somebody outlined and shows you the bull and because it's a terrible tattoo. You know how tattoos look when they get old, and you can imagine the technology of these people and stuff. And they have quite a bit of data going through on this guy, of course, this time. And little baby carriage type thing. Isn't that amazing? And so, again, tattoos, like was found on Utsi, that actually has something that looks like an all-seeing eye on it, and then the inscription down below that no one's been able to really decipher because it doesn't quite appear to be off anything. But yeah, so interesting archaeology still going on, slowly though, in Egypt. It's funny how they just dig down a little bit and run into all kinds of stuff. I think they need to use ground penetrating radar, and they're going to find a whole lot more in important areas, and then some scouting. And here you can see the ram and the cow motif that they have on that. Tattoos back then, amazing.